In high school, I was interviewed by a friend who wanted to document our school's culture. After noticing I was frozen with decision-making anxiety over what to say, she listed some options. What inspires me, my favorite school courses, what I wanted to be when I grew up. What scared me, things like that. Because I was an overachiever, I decided to do all three. I wanted to and still want to be a writer, and hopefully more on the known side. I want to say that I was vain, or that my search for societal relevance was driven by something good, like putting in an important political message to change how we see the world, or something of the like. In reality, I saw writing as my own personal fountain of youth. As long as your words and messages remain in modern conversation or are at least easily accessible, your presence remains in the public consciousness. J.R.R. Tolkien, Mary Shelley, Bram Stoker, all of them live with us today through their works and inspirations. I wanted to join them. But what if I couldn't? What if my published stories never saw the light of day? Well, that's when I die. That's when the last family member forgets my name, and my presence is lost forever.
I guess it's a good thing we never had any kids. Hard enough looking my parents in the eyes. They're going to a bomb shelter upstate, by the way, along with your dad. I'm guessing someone will help him send you a message somehow. I hope they will. Hell, I'm not even sure you'll get this message. If you do, I want you to know I never blamed you for following your dreams. I was just mad it didn't fit better with what I imagined our lives would be. I really wanted the picket fence, big family, you know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm proud of you. And even though it's been difficult to be separated from you, I regret nothing. I'm happy. And I really wish I was able to say this without the sky falling down. I love you, Amy. I always have, and always will.
Amy never got that message. Within the context of immortalizing writing, he's long dead. That recording is stuck at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean in the research base known as Pathos 2. That's where you're trapped in frictional games Soma, stranded, alone, and screaming into the night. I only started playing horror games recently, but very quickly I found that a few struck me deeper than the others, but I wasn't entirely sure why. It wasn't until researching these games and applying them to myself that I realized these experiences dug deeper into my psyche than I thought. Not only that, but deeper into my life. These games isolated me, but that's not entirely it. It wasn't about being physically alone, and I wasn't for most of those games, but in my mind, however, I was. I need to look at my childhood to truly understand how deep this fear goes, and how the terror in these games taps into the primal fear in my core, and possibly the core of others. Fear is a deep-rooted thing, but believe it or not, it has more to do with nostalgic memories than we may like to admit. The etymological roots of nostalgia trace back, arguably, to a Greek word for either the agony of becoming or from the pain of an old wound. In his paper, The Nostalgia of Horror, Aron Bergstrom says that nostalgia is intrinsic to horror, as horror is about experiencing the trauma and nightmare without living that trauma. This is similar to the way that we might look back on our lives with rose-tinted glasses at old passions and dreams. Isn't it funny how we all wanted to be astronauts, paleontologists, or deep-sea divers when we were young, when we didn't know how truly dangerous those jobs could be, before we decided to settle on easier, less life-endangering careers. Before I started conducting research on this essay, I noticed the two games I decided to cover grappled with intense fear below the waves. While those games terrify me to no end, I don't have thalassophobia. So what made these games so terrifying? Before I wanted to be a writer, young Franklin always dreamed of becoming a diver or a submarine pilot, someone who would uncover the secrets of the depths beneath the water. Hopefully, I would discover something new in the process. It's funny how little my goals changed as I grew older, only the avenue that I would use to achieve them. I used to look at my dreams with wonder, but David Szymanski's Iron Lung forced me to look at those nostalgic memories through a different lens.
Oops. Oh my Jesus Christ. Picture time. Beep. Oh! Oh my god.
This game, and by extension many effective horror pieces, digs into our psyche by perverting what used to be safe spaces in our youths. Iron Lung made me confront my dreams by accentuating the dangers of deep-sea exploration, just as stories like Ben Drowned warp our perceptions of things we used to love. Either that, or it reverses them in a nightmarish fashion. I used to dream about looking out into vast portholes, into a sea teeming with life. In Iron Lung, you have a poor excuse for a camera that gives you glimpses into a dead world full of danger. Either way, it's hard to hide under the covers when the covers themselves are the monster. Growing up, I always had some sort of safety net, someone to talk to about my feelings, someone to support my endeavors. In Iron Lung, you have no one. You're alone, cut off from the outside world. The last human voice you hear is harshly cut off as you descend to the depths. You're trapped and alone. The pictures you take never reach the surface. What you discover in the depths stays with you in your watery grave. Even if you did make it to the surface, there's no way you'd get any credit for it anyways. You are a convict, after all. You'd never get to leave your mark on the world. You'd fade away into nothing. In her book, The Carrier Bag Theory of Fiction, renowned speculative fiction author Ursula K. Le Guin notes how we see similar narratives in fiction, specifically the story of the killing, conquering, and often male hero. These stories are everywhere, and they mold who we are as people. I know that I grew up with many of them myself. The trouble is, we've all let ourselves become part of the killer story. In a way, seeking to make our mark on the world is a part of that. In many of the titles I just displayed, your name is etched into the annals of history. It overshadows all others who tried and failed to do the same. You are the Doomslayer, the savior of mankind, the Sapphire Star. In Soma, by Frictional Games, you are the savior of mankind. But no one will remember you. No one remembers anyone on Pathos 2.
What are you?
Are you blind? It's me, Carl Semkin. Wrangler? Any of this sound familiar to you?
No, actually.
Well, thanks for being so helpful. It's not like I'm knocked out on the floor or anything.
This man and all the other people on this station will forever live in shadows as the rest of humanity lives in the Ark, something he and you will never live to see. At the end of the game, you lose the coin toss that determines whether your consciousness is the one copied into the Ark. Humanity is sent off into space to live out the rest of its existence. along with a copy of your consciousness. Not even your own copy knows about your fate. You're truly left, truly forgotten, truly alone. There's no one to hear your screams as you call out into the darkness of the powered-down station. You've had quite the adventure, evading monsters, finding a little buddy along the way, putting out fires, among other things. At the end of the day, how much that really matters if no one is there to ever remember it. All of those stories that raised me into the desire to metaphorically conquer death didn't prepare me to ask the question of what if I didn't? I set humanity free, but what does it matter that they don't know I did it? Jacob Geller, someone who I clearly draw a lot of inspiration from, details a pivotal moment in Playdead's Inside that really captures my feelings about isolation. He says, "Here we are, floating above oblivion, and it's not claustrophobia anymore, and it's not the fear of drowning, it's just those depths. The worlds surrounding these games care little for your actions. Sure, a piece of ocean megafauna is interested in its new plaything, and you are on a quest to save humanity, or what's left of it at least. But the world behaves the same before you arrive and after you leave. Pathos 2 continues to be an abandoned, derelict ocean base, and the Blood Ocean keeps its mysteries on its floor. Their apathy and grandeur is overwhelming, and I can't stand how little they care. These games scare me so much because of who I am. Someone with a natural need to put themselves out there, to have their image saved so it doesn't fade away, screaming into the night."
Catherine? Please don't leave me alone. Catherine? Catherine?